Look around you. The stock market is sitting near all-time highs. Your favorite tech companies are promising a utopian future powered by artificial intelligence. The financial media tells you the economy is resilient, that the recession was canceled, and that everything is perfectly fine. It is a lie, a carefully constructed, mathematically engineered lie designed to keep you spending while the architects of the system quietly head for the exits. Right now, hiding in plain sight within the United States economy is a cancer. It is not a conspiracy theory. It is a mathematical certainty. There are currently 639 publicly traded companies in the Russell 3000 index that are functionally dead. They are called zombie companies, and they just hit their highest levels since 2021. They employ millions of Americans. They occupy massive office buildings. They produce goods, they offer services, and they look completely normal on the outside. But if you look at their balance sheets, you will see a terrifying reality. They do not make enough profit to even pay the interest on their own debt. Let that sink in. They are not paying down the principal. They cannot even afford the interest payments. For the last 10 years, they were kept alive on life support by the Federal Reserve, which pumped trillions of dollars of free money into the system at 0% interest. But that era is over. The free money has dried up. And now, a catastrophic event known as the maturity wall is rapidly approaching. By the end of 2026, over $3 trillion in corporate debt is coming due. And when it does, the illusion of the American economy will shatter. To understand how we arrived at the edge of this cliff, you have to understand the anatomy of a zombie company. In a normal, healthy capitalist system, weak companies die. If a business creates a product that no one wants, or if it is managed poorly, it goes bankrupt. Its assets are sold to better companies, and the overall economy becomes stronger. This is the natural forest fire that clears out the dead wood. But in 2008, and again in 2020, the Federal Reserve refused to let the forest burn. They slashed interest rates to zero. They printed money out of thin air and flooded the corporate bond market. Suddenly, borrowing money cost absolutely nothing. Wall Street executives realized they didn't need to innovate anymore. They didn't need to build better products, invest in research, or hire better engineers. All they had to do was borrow billions of dollars at near 0% interest, use that cheap debt to buy back their own stock, and artificially inflate their share prices. The executives walked away with massive multi-million-dollar bonuses, while the companies themselves were hollowed out and loaded with toxic debt. Fast forward to today. There are nearly 7,000 of these debt-hobbled zombie corporations globally. In the United States alone, the number of these walking dead companies surged by 83 in a single month this past October. They are literally borrowing money just to pay the interest on the money they already borrowed. It is a corporate Ponzi scheme of epic proportions, and it is entirely legal. But every Ponzi scheme relies on one thing to survive: the constant flow of cheap, new money. And the Federal Reserve has turned off the tap. This brings us to the 2026 maturity wall. This is not a prediction. This is a legally binding contract that cannot be altered, delayed, or wished away. When a massive corporation borrows money, they don't get a 30-year fixed mortgage like you do when you buy a house. They issue corporate bonds, usually for a term of 3, 5, or 7 years. When that term ends, they do not pay the money back. They simply take out a new loan to pay off the old loan. It is called refinancing. During the pandemic, these zombie companies locked in trillions of dollars of debt at incredibly low rates, usually around 2 or 3%. But those loans are now expiring. Between now and the end of 2026, nearly $3 trillion of corporate debt will mature. Here is the terrifying part. They cannot refinance at 2% anymore because the Federal Reserve was forced to aggressively hike rates to fight the massive inflation that they created. The cost of borrowing has doubled and in some cases tripled. These companies are now being forced to refinance their massive debt loads at 5, 6, or even 8%. Remember, these are companies that could barely afford to pay the interest when rates were at zero. Now, their interest payments are about to double overnight. According to S&P Global, the lowest rated debt, the junk bonds that keep these zombies alive, will see maturities more than double in 2026 compared to the previous year. According to Morningstar, nearly 30% of middle-market borrowers are currently experiencing financial stress. It is a mathematical impossibility for them to survive this transition. The wall is here, and they are driving straight into it at full speed. When a zombie company hits the maturity wall, the executives face a brutal choice. They can declare bankruptcy and let the company die, or they can aggressively cut costs to survive the higher interest payments. And in corporate America, cutting costs means only one thing: mass layoffs. You are already seeing the beginning of this purge. You see the headlines every week: 10,000 jobs cut here, 5,000 jobs cut there. The mainstream media blames it on artificial intelligence. They tell you that companies are restructuring to focus on efficiency. Do not believe them. AI is just the convenient scapegoat. The real reason these companies are firing thousands of workers is because they are desperately trying to free up cash to pay their bondholders. The banks, the private credit funds, and Wall Street always get paid first. The American worker always pays the price. By late 2026, as the refinancing wall hits its absolute peak, this slow bleed will turn into a massive hemorrhage. The ripple effect on employment will be devastating. We are not talking about part-time or low-wage jobs. We are talking about middle-class, white-collar jobs in tech, healthcare, media, and manufacturing. These are the jobs that pay the mortgages. These are the jobs that fund the retirement accounts. When these jobs vanish, the newly unemployed cannot pay their bills. They default on their credit cards. They default on their auto loans. The contagion spreads from the corporate balance sheet directly into the consumer economy, destroying the middle class from the inside out. The system is entirely interconnected, and the architects know exactly what is about to happen. While you are being told to keep buying stocks and investing in the soft landing, the insiders are preparing for the crash. Look at the regional banks. These are the institutions holding billions of dollars of commercial real estate loans, the loans on the massive, empty office buildings that these zombie companies currently occupy. When a zombie company goes bankrupt, they stop paying rent. When they stop paying rent, the building owner defaults on the commercial mortgage. And when the commercial mortgage defaults, the regional bank collapses. Over $1.5 trillion in commercial real estate debt is also maturing by the end of 2026. It is a perfect doom loop. The corporate debt crisis triggers the commercial real estate crisis, which triggers a localized banking crisis. And who will step in to buy these distressed assets for pennies on the dollar? Private credit firms. Massive shadow banks like BlackRock, Apollo, and Fortress. They are sitting on billions of dollars in dry powder, waiting for the blood to flow in the streets. They will acquire the bankrupt companies. They will take ownership of the foreclosed real estate. They will strip the assets, fire the remaining workers, and consolidate even more power and wealth into the hands of the elite few. You are witnessing the greatest wealth transfer in modern history, disguised as a natural economic cycle. There is no escape hatch. The government cannot print its way out of this trap because printing more money will instantly reignite hyperinflation, destroying the purchasing power of the US dollar entirely. The Federal Reserve cannot slash rates back to zero without causing the cost of living to skyrocket so violently that the middle class completely breaks under the weight of basic groceries and housing. The trap has been set and the doors have been locked. The era of cheap money is dead, and the zombie companies that fed on it are about to starve. The media will act surprised. The politicians will blame each other. Wall Street will demand another taxpayer bailout, but the math does not lie. $3 trillion in corporate debt, $1.5 trillion in commercial real estate debt, 639 infected companies in the United States alone. The refinancing wall of 2026 is not a theory, and it is not a prediction. It is a financial reckoning that will wipe out a decade of artificial growth and permanently restructure the American economy. You have been warned. The numbers are written in stone. The clock is ticking. The purge has already begun.